Hello and welcome to Bringing Education Home. I'm Herb.
And I'm Christina. And together we bring you experts and ideas to help grow healthy, happy, successful families that are both inside
and outside the box. If you like the show, be sure to follow Christina on Facebook.
And please leave us a like review on your favorite podcast platform.
Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Saireen Nielsen. Saireen is a global entrepreneur who has developed a course called Loving Menopausitivity, which is designed to help perimenopausal and menopausal women prepare for and manage their menopausal symptoms in a natural way without hormone replacement. In 2021, Saireen received a Global Win Award for outstanding achievement for her course. Saireen is also passionate about coaching and creating the Loving Menopausitivity movement to honor women globally and give them a platform to be seen and heard. You know, I had to practice saying menopausitivity a bunch of times before I even saw you. We had to restart it once. That is not necessarily an easy word to say.
But it's such a fun word.
But once you kind of get around it, it kind of flows. So welcome, Saireen. It is a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's an honor and privilege to be here with both of you.
When Saireen and I got together at our pre-chat about what this show would be about and why it's important to our families, we started discussing, we have moms who are now a little bit older than the past generation that went through this, right? Some of our parents now are in the throes of raising kids, and at the same time, their body is changing and things are not working out quite the way they thought, or a little bit differently than they thought. And so what I really thought it was important to bring her on, bringing education home, because guess what? This education thing is not just for the kids, it's for the parents, the moms, etc. as well. And so Saireen, thank you again for coming and joining us today on our show.
Like I said, I'm very excited to be here, and I can't wait to share what I've experienced and what I've learned with everyone.
Awesome. We'd love to start with kind of that passion question. What was it that either happened in your life with someone around you? What was it that brought this passion of, I really need to share this with other women so that maybe their journey could be a little bit different than my journey or whatever happened that caused the pivot to happen?
Christina, I spent 10 years dealing with severe menopausal symptoms. I had hot flashes, night sweats, insomnia, brain fog. My hair was falling out. I gained 20 pounds. My body was changing, and so were my emotions. I was all over the place, and I didn't understand it. And I didn't even know what perimenopause was. And I didn't even realize it was a thing because I was experiencing so many symptoms while I still had my cycle. It just didn't make sense to me. And of course, I kept going to the doctors every week practically because there was something wrong and I was trying to fix myself. And they didn't even let me know that it might have been part of menopause.
Yeah, I was going to say the list of symptoms you gave is so very broad and wide for a whole list of issues, from like fibromyalgia to all sorts of different things. So yeah, if you're not understanding that this is what's going on, it can be like, my health is going away. So how and the doctors didn't even necessarily talk to you about it. So this left you 10 years of struggling through it. And now.
May I ask about what age that happened? Because let's give our audience kind of a time frame so what they're experiencing might click in.
I just want to share a quick story with you. Yeah. In my 40s, just when I was actually 39, I was sitting at the pool with my husband, and we're on vacation, and I just had my last miscarriage, and my hormones were out of whack, and I just sat there looking at these beautiful bodies and beautiful young girls having their babies, and it made me feel sad and disappointed. And I knew that I needed to get control back in my life. I needed to do something different. So when I went back home, for the first time, I prioritized myself. I ended up hiring a personal trainer, and I was running, I was pole dancing, I was having so much fun, I was doing weight resistance, and I got healthy and toned. And that was in the beginning of my 40s. And so by the time 43, 44 hit, I'm experiencing different types of physical changes. And I'm thinking, I got this since I've been 40, I've been like working out and I have all this energy, but something I couldn't put my finger on at the time was shifting. And I didn't realize it was related to hormones as well, because I still had my cycle.
Yeah. It's one of those things that, I don't know about you, but my mom didn't necessarily talk about a lot of this kind of stuff. I mean, the generation ahead of us, they share, the most important things, but they didn't really talk about, oh, I noticed this when this was happening, or I noticed this about this age or whatever. I mean, I had to specifically go ask my mom, hey, about what age did you? And she was like, I think it was about this age, but then, that was past the peri part. That was the full on. And so, I mean, I wouldn't ever, my things started changing. I was like, I wonder if.
Okay. So you didn't know what it was. I don't know what it was. She didn't know what it was. So now we're here talking about something that most young women don't know what it is. So we're wanting to help families. So let's talk about what is perimenopause and menopause in like a technical fashion, so that it's like, well, what are they talking about? I kind of have an idea. What is perimenopause and what is menopause?
Perimenopause is basically your body's changing, and you're going to have other symptoms, but you're going to start having symptoms like menopause, the gaining of the weight, the brain fog, the hair falling out, and so much more. But you're still having your cycle. And some women may experience fibroids or changes in their cycle. Sometimes this is too much information, but everyone needs to know this, that women who are used to having a period for a week ends up having 2 weeks. Their flow is still happening for 3 weeks. They don't understand what's going on. And sometimes their periods disappear, and that's like, oh my gosh, am I pregnant? So you go from like, oh my God, what's happening? And am I having fibroids? And I'm having this discomfort, to the point where you're actually feeling like, what is going on with my body? And it doesn't make sense to me. And I feel out of control. Whereas menopause is your cycle is finished in a year. So if you're not having that cycle that you look forward to, it's disappeared. And now it's full menopause. And menopause is different for everyone. Everyone's journey is going to be so different. We're unique like snowflakes. So some women will have hot flashes, whereas some women will have cold flashes. My dear friend Samantha had cold flashes. I'm like, what is going on here? Never heard of this before. And at the same time, you're experiencing so much more, and your body is changing again after 50. So 40, you're still, feeling vivacious, you're feeling sexy, and you're still feeling joyful, and you're having fun. When menopause comes around, you're starting to doubt yourself. Indecisiveness is one of the big things for me when I was going through menopause, and I was feeling out of control. Brain fog was huge for me. It affected my social life. I used to be, like outgoing. I want to go see my girlfriends. And next thing you know, I'm sitting there, with my girlfriends, and I couldn't put a thought together. I was so embarrassed. I'm like, I don't know what I was going to say. What's worse is like silence. So I became a good listener. I was a good listener to begin with.
Exactly. Yeah. And if we start thinking about this, right, we're talking about this also in the realm of families. Think about the mom of the family raising kids, and then suddenly starting to have several of these things going on. They are having maybe mood swings. They are having that brain fog, like they can't remember which kid needs to be at which soccer practice, at what field, at what time, kind of thing, right? And so
right.
with all of this going on, we wanted to highlight, as parents, remember that you have to take care of yourself. You need to track these changes and understand what's going on as much as possible, and then how it can impact the family. So let's talk about that next, Saireen. We have a mom that is sitting here going, okay, I'm pretty sure this is happening with me because I'm having some of the things that Saireen's talking about. What are some of the things that they can prioritize or help take care of themselves. So then that can bleed in, some bad word, move into the family in a better way, right? Helping to either schedule or whatever so that the family can move better.
Christina, I created a slim method guide, and it has nothing to do with losing the weight.
Mm-hmm.
The slim method is actually an acronym. So the S stands for self-care.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did this for myself because it was so important to block that time for yourself. So whether you're waking up earlier that morning, it's important to have that meditation. It's important to go for a walk. It's important to give yourself that break without feeling guilty or shame around it. So I would wake up early as well, and you're like, okay. And what was interesting is I let my husband know. And what would be important in this structure is let everyone know. This is my time, it's me time. And you know what would be great is Dad would have his me time as well. And the kids could have their me time too. And you set up these boundaries, which is fabulous, because then you're actually, everyone seems to be seen and heard.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not just for the adults.
Well, another real big thing about a change from our generation that we didn't necessarily have to think about to some of the newer generations and what's going on. Due to social pressures and economic pressures, we have women that are delaying their child rearing years until their early 30s, late 30s, because they need to get their career going. They need to get financially set. Mm-hmm. Now, it used to be that you got married out of high school or right out of college. You started having children in your early 20s. You're usually done by 30, 35. So if you're done by 30, that means your child is leaving the house at 48 to go off on their own. And that's really about when things get started. So for our generation, it's like parents, women, were going into this state as their children were also leaving home, starting with emptiness and kind of perimenopause, menopause at the same time. But now we have people waiting so long that they're going into menopause while they still have younger children and earlier teens. Mm-hmm. How is that change affecting families and hitting home? Because it used to be little kids didn't have to think about mom raging because her hormones went off track and she got hot and lost her temper. I'm just messing.
Well, thank you for asking. What I found was that it's important to start having an open communication with the family members. And it maybe you want, if your kids are like 10 or 12, and what I would suggest is sit down with them, sit down with your kids, sit down with your husband and say, listen, there's something dear to my heart I want to really share. And there's nothing wrong. I'm just going through some changes and I would love to get your support. And sometimes I may not be my best. Sometimes my emotions might be big, just another version of mood swings. But you know, and you want to make sure that you are approachable. They don't need to tiptoe around you. They can ask those questions while you're sitting down calmly and saying, you know what, it might be messy, but I still love you. And I would love your patience, your support, your love, your actions, and your kind words, you know. And so I created something that's called kind actions complemented by kind words. And what I mean by that is if I'm having a hot flash, I would love it if you gave me a cold glass of water. You're not trying to fix anything. You're just helping me calm down, you know, cool down, or lower down the thermostat. Or when you're feeling a hot flash come on, just leave her alone and perhaps also give her a fan or a cold cloth. Just give her some time to just relax. And it could be, 5-minute break, just a little time out for mom. You know, and it's really important. And the kind words that would complement that is, I'm here if you need anything. Mom, I love you.
Absolutely love that, because, you know, our kids do, they really do tune in on, oh, something's different or something's changed, or, you know, they love their parents most of the time, right? And they want to be helpful. So if you give them those tools, if you see mom doing this, this is a way that you can make me feel better if you want to. This is a way that you can help me. So I love those tools that you just gave so that we can share that, you know, and really make the family, like you said, communicate better and help things kind of smooth out when things are kind of spiking up and down and being rough.
And especially with mood swings and irritability and anxiety, you know, it's so important to have that conversation. Like, you need that break and you need to step away, you know, and then the kids can come by and go, Mom, are you okay? Is there anything that you need? Or can I ask for permission before you go in to have a hug?
Yeah.
You know, and you also want to make sure that they understand it's not about them. If, you know, if you're, you know, getting a little snappy, it's nothing personal. It's something that you're going through. It's like, you know, most of the time women will apologize. I'm sorry I did that. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
It wasn't my normal self.
Yeah. Yeah. We speak about that as well, especially when I'm talking about how to face big challenges, because, you know, this is a challenge in the mom's life, but, you know, there's other challenges that come up, like a death of a family member or something else. And this is how I speak about with the kids, is like, what can you do to help support them so they understand? How can you be a really good role model for them? And that's by talking it out and sharing, this is what's happening, and apologizing. I blew it there. I really needed to control myself, and I just couldn't at that point. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And, you know, sometimes humor is a good way to deal with it as well. So, oh, hot flash, you're hot for me. Here's a good time to kiss and snuggle and bite on your neck. And really, so yeah, I never do anything like that at all. Oh, you're moody. Well, let's go for some fun time then. So yeah, you know, so I do have a tendency to push sometimes. So it's not, a lot of times it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of normal. A lot of times but sometimes it's like, oh no, let's push. She's getting a little sensitive. Let's push for a little bit.
Because sometimes distraction is a good thing too, right? You know?
Absolutely. And so that's the great time to bring in joy and fun and playfulness and laughter. I agree totally. Because before, men would run away. It's like, oh, here she goes, here she comes. It's like, oh no, I have something to do in the garage. I'm going to go hide. You know? Instead of like being present, and it's like, what can I help you with? And then it's like, okay, let's do something. And my husband helps me by putting on my favorite songs so I can just move my body, you know, and just feel like being grounded and calm again.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because your spouse and your kids, they can be so supportive and helpful in that way. You know, all of us have a favorite, you know, drink or a favorite song or favorite, you know, if it's cold, like a favorite snuggle blanket or something, right? You can be super supportive in those ways and just make life great, better for everybody. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and you know, this is a topic that most people avoid. They don't, you know, guys don't like to go shopping for women's products. They don't like to talk about women's stuff. And so this is very much in that realm that makes husbands tend to be a lot more uncomfortable. Me, it's like when I go and buy that stuff, everybody knows it's not for me. So I don't necessarily have a problem with it. You know, there's even a good joke where, you know, a salesman sold a guy a boat and a fishing pole and a truck and all of this stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, he came in to buy some Tampax. And I said, hell, if it's going to be a weekend like that, you might as well go fishing. So, we don't talk about it. We tend to, you know, kind of,
yeah.
It seems to be shameful, even though it's like a natural body thing. So how do women who feel this shame talk to their men and their families who don't like to talk about this stuff? Because again, it's like, oh, you say this and you say this, but it's like, man, nobody wants to talk about this. How do you get that started?
I would just say, just let them know this is dear to your heart. This is something that you're going through and means a lot to you, to get support from everyone. And it's different from generation to generation, because I understand that these things weren't talked about. And also, it's not just about generation, it's also cultural. You know, people, certain cultures don't even want to talk about it because it wasn't talked about. And women back then were actually recognized as wisdom. They were smart. They were, you know, like an elderly woman who knew it all because of her experience. So this time it's a little bit different when we need to talk about this, because we are the role models of our kids coming up. And we get to choose how we're going to deal with menopause. You know, so when you talk about it with your kids, it's beautiful. And the family, I'm going through some changes and I would love to have your support. I know it's something that we're not used to talking about, but let's have fun with it. You know, and the thing is, if you don't feel comfortable, don't hesitate to ask questions, because you may not have the answers. I might, but I want you to be able to know that you can approach me anytime. And it's okay, because we're all learning and growing together. Because, you know, some days you're like, they don't know what to say. Men want to fix things. We can't be fixed. It's an ongoing thing. And it's a beautiful thing. You can look at it as like, oh my gosh, here we go again. Or you go, oh my goodness, what a beautiful chance to help her. What a beautiful chance to get to know her. And it's in a way that our bodies are telling us something different. And it's a beautiful thing, because it's important to talk about this, because men go through menopause and it starts about 50 years old. And men don't like to talk about things. Oh, my testosterone's going low. And which affects the whole body as well. And so as we talk about these things openly, we can support one another. If you don't start talking about it, you'll grow apart. Mm-hmm. There's no shame or blame. We're just aging and growing together in a beautiful way. That's how we grow 80 years together. My parents just celebrated their 66th wedding anniversary. They went through a lot of ups and downs.
Yes.
And at times I'd look at my mom, why are you so angry? But when we're looking back, now we get it. Mm-hmm. So now we don't have to ask those questions, why you were angry all the time or whatever the case is. Now we get a choice is how can we listen to our body and how can we support it? And when we approach it that way, men can do the same thing for themselves.
Now a few words about Vibrant Family Education.
How many entrepreneurs and business owners start out on this journey to make a better life for their family, only to find that it took so much more time and effort than they were expecting that they had even less time for their family? I know I did.
At Vibrant Family Education, we want to help you reach your family goals while you're still building towards your business goals. We do this by bringing you the third leg of the stool to keep your family upright, family education development.
By bringing your children's education home, you will be able to model your work ethic and family values as you overcome obstacles and challenges to build your business. Instead of learning facts to pass tests, your children can be watching and seeing the dedication it takes to build your business and the legacy you want to create for their future. They will be able to witness the struggles and joys, the wins and the losses, and learn from you how to persevere and grow in life.
Instead of waiting until you get successful to spend more time with your family, start with the end goal in mind and bring your family home. Instead of trying to repair your family after you reach success, let us help you start achieving your family goals from the outset. Learn to be successful with your family now, and no matter what happens in the future, they will be better prepared for life, especially after watching how you cared for and built not only a business, but a healthy, happy, and successful family.
We offer a wide range of educational services, including how to easily get started with homeschooling. Come visit us at vibrantfamilyeducation.com and let us show you how. And now, back to our guest.
Yeah, exactly. And, as far as talking with the kids, we talk about, always do it age appropriately, right? For the littles, all they need to know is that mommy's upset for a little while, or mom's just having a rough time, and just put it as that. They don't need to know the biological components to it and all the different things, right? And then those who are ready or ask a more specific question, then you can give that specific answer to the question they ask. because sometimes it's like, oh mom, what about this? And then you go off on this great big long tangent. They're like, whoa, I only wanted this little bit of information. I don't need all of that other. So really just tuning in and listening about your kids' questions, the age appropriateness of what you need to talk to them, and just knowing that, you know, by communicating, like you said, having that loving, open conversation is really just the best way to do it. Yeah. So let's go think about 2 tips for these moms who are noticing changes, right? We did one, the self-care time, some me alone time. What about they're like in the middle of rushing around for dinner or rushing to get the kids out to soccer practice or something, and just like they're having that major brain fog? Is there anything that they can do to maybe help clear that away or settle that down a little bit?
That's a very good question, Christina. The best thing that I found was having a audio next to me. I would record everything the night before that I would have to do. Mm-hmm. It's not have to do. I get to do it because it's a privilege to be spending time with, you know, your kids, your relatives, your just family members. So, and it's dear to your heart. So what I would do is just speak into it and use it as a checklist and listen to it at like a meditation in the morning, because we are going to forget. I get to a point where I go into a cupboard and I can't even remember why I was going, why or what I was going for, you know? And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with us. Yeah. We just need to take step by step by step, you know, because there's when there's too many things going around and we're so busy that we like, oh my gosh, what did I miss? And you miss something and it falls out of place. And so there's nothing wrong. We're just distracted with so many things going on. There's nothing wrong. We just need to be better managing our time.
Yeah, the brain science around creating your schedule and reviewing it before you go to sleep is pretty profound as well, because it allows your brain to let go of what you have to do the next day, and you can sleep more soundly. And then your subconscious, when you're in that sleep state, sleep can go through the problems for your next day and actually organize it and get it ready for you, so your next day goes smoother. So there is actually a lot of brain science that goes into what you just talked about as well. So what about hormone replacement therapy? Because there's a lot of what's going on is hormones are shifting. So not necessarily taking hormones, but what are some ways to support the women so as these changes are, so that maybe the changing of the hormones isn't as abrupt and doesn't take as big of a toll?
That's a very good question. I would go see my doctor and ask them and have a list of things to talk to them about, because of the fact that in your 40s, that's when your hormones are fluctuating. Your estrogen levels are decreasing, your progesterone levels are decreasing, but it's not gone totally. And those at that age, the doctor will say to you whether you're a good candidate or you're not a candidate for it. So you need to be tested for it. When you reach around 50 to 55, you may not be a good candidate for it. But women are like, oh my God, I just realized I'm in menopause. And you may not be for several reasons. You know, they talk about the history of family history of breast cancer, ovarian cancer, all these other cancers, blood sugar, you know, I mean, your blood pressure being high, your cortisol levels are high, all these things. You know, it's really important to have a measure, have somewhere to start measuring yourself. So in your 40s is the best time to go in, ask your doctor, I would like to take all these tests. But if your physician isn't listening to you, then there's also other alternatives. You can see a functional medicine specialist or a naturopath who can do that for you. I tell my clients certain tests that they not need. It will help them to measure where their estrogen and progesterone levels are at. And then once we know where you're at, then we can start working around it, you know, and design a perimenopausal and menopausal journey that they love. And the other thing that's important is people don't realize that you're not going to be on hormone replacement for the rest of your life. So that's, that's just an aid that's helping you to get through the transition. And then what happens postmenopausal is up to you. And that's why when we started talking earlier, we're talking about some women experience hot flashes or other menopausal symptoms in their 80s. That can be true, depending on if you know how to prepare for and manage your menopausal symptoms ahead of time. So you don't want to do something that's like all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I have to do all these changes. What you want to be able to do is, wow, I get to make small changes that I love and incorporate them into my life, and then perhaps into my family's life as well, because you're incorporating good, healthy habits for them. I know it's small steps. Sometimes they're not ready for it, but that doesn't matter. It starts with you first.
And I love that, because some of those healthy habits I'm pretty sure you talk about is like changing nutrition, making sure you're eating maybe some better, higher quality foods and things like that, or some specific foods that might help, right? Or a little bit more exercise, or maybe even less exercise in certain points because of whatever was going on. So you help families and moms kind of know that information, so then they can, like you said, incorporate it for themselves and hopefully incorporate it with the rest of the family. When we talk with other nutrition experts, they're like, oh yeah, you want to make these changes, and then the mom's like, oh, but my kids won't eat that. And that's when we're like, sorry, that's when you actually start integrating little bits at a time, and then everybody will come on board. You don't want to add the pressure of, oh, I have to make this special food for me and this different family food here and this special food for my family. Really try to incorporate, like you said, in small bits that everybody basically has the same thing.
And what if they see their mom feeling vibrant? It's like, what is she doing? What is she eating? Like, she looks so good, she's feeling a lot better. Maybe I'm going to try some of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly.
So another serious one here from guy's point of view.
Okay.
There's a lot of times where perimenopause, menopause, the female's libido goes down, and sex is no longer comfortable or as often, and that can have some serious negative consequences in the relationship and in the marriage as that aspect of it changes. It's normal, but it can not. How can we transition that? How can we, I don't know, make so it's not so big of a transition for the guy, make it so that the women doesn't lose the libido or what not so much, because again, a lot of problems happen around this time as well.
Oh, I agree. I believe that communication is a huge factor in this. And it's important not to shy away from it. It's about communicating what you love and what works for you. Sometimes having sex or making love is, let me just rephrase that. It should be fun. It should be playful. It should be amazing, and feeling all of it. As the progesterone and estrogen levels decrease, unfortunately, the muscles start changing down there as well. So what we want to make sure is that, go see the doctor. They might give you some cream, something that would help. Number 2 is talk to your husband about it, or your partner, and say, listen, my body's changing and I would love your support. And then there's other ways to deal with it. It's not just having sex. It's about making love and helping each other reach that orgasm. There's different ways of dealing with it. And then there's ways of stimulation. So that's another play on factor. Try other things, and just be playful and be open to other things, because if you don't keep doing it, then it's like a muscle, you lose it. So you want to make sure you keep at it, whether it's just by yourself or he's helping you. You want to make sure that you keep going with it.
Got it.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
And I did have one other question real quick. So you keep talking about go see your doctor. Guys tend to have one doctor. Girls have lots of doctors. Is a GP, is the general practitioner the right doctor to go see in this? because allopathic medicine is very great at triage. It's very great at, if something's broken, fixing it as quick as possible. This is not something broken, and Western medicine isn't necessarily great at this kind of. So is your general practitioner the right doctor to go see? Maybe to start with, but is that the right doctor?
I would say I would start with the physician, because in a lot of places it's covered under your medical.
Okay.
And I know that that could be a little strain on the budget.
And finances, yeah.
You know, so you start with that, and you want, and there's certain things that they will cover, some certain blood tests. You want to know where your levels are, and then what is next.
Mm-hmm.
The next is, okay, what was next for me was I went to see a gynecologist.
Mm-hmm.
Waited for a couple of months in order to see a specialist. Then I went through that part, and then after that, I'm like, am I happy with that? And I know what limitations my physician had. Then I went and started researching and doing my own thing, because I wasn't happy with the answers I was getting.
Yeah.
I would work out a budget, and I paid around $1,100 to see a functional medicine specialist at the time. And that doesn't include the supplements, the medication, and certain things like that. It wasn't covered under my medical. And that was something that I had to decide. Is my health more important, or am I putting a pause on it because I think my family needs more things than I do? And it's like, am I being the first person? Am I prioritizing myself? Or am I being second or third on the list? So, and then when you think of it that way, it's like, if you don't look after yourself first, then how can you help others? So same thing with the oxygen mask. You put the oxygen mask on first, and then you then you help others. So that's how I view things. That's just my opinion. And then after that, I actually went to a naturopath. He had this machine called Vega testing. So all our DNAs are different. And what he does is he gives you an electrode, and he actually measures what your DNA or what your cells are used to. So he'll measure it for you. If there's a supplement, or for vitamin C, he'll measure it and see if that's the right potency for you, if that's what your body needs at the time. Sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it does. And so that's how I got through it. But I also did other research, read books, and interviewed women, and found out what worked and what didn't work.
I love that. Yeah. And, if you're one of our Canadian listeners, things are a little bit different than maybe the American version, but either way, you can work through your system and figure out what will work for you and your family. Exactly. Saireen, this has been so insightful and helpful. And, I'm sure our audience is like, okay, this helps, because if for nothing else, it gives them something to think about, and then maybe take that step into having the family discussion, or having the parental discussion, the spousal discussion, like, hey, let's talk about this a little bit, because things are, a little bit wonky or whatever right now. So thank you so very, very much, as we've been going through all of this. Is there anything that was on your list, like, I really want to make sure I say this to the moms or the parents out there as we are going through the show?
I'm grateful that I was able to give you the SLIM method guide. Sorry, and I just have to go back to that. That's my gift for all of you. And S stands for self-care. L is for loving yourself. I is for taking those inspired actions. And M is for being mindfulness. And being mindfulness means a lot of things. And then this, for me, it meant being in the moment, and capturing the negative talk that comes through, and believe that it's not true. You get to create and design your own menopausal journey and what that looks like for you and your kids. And so I would love for you to prioritize you first. It's so important. And just love yourself through the process.
Me first.
I love that. Thank you.
Me first.
Me first.
Me first.
And then It's wonderful when you have, when you have a partner that, you can be playful with, you can bounce ideas off of and everything. So, keep that communication going through all this different stuff. Thank you. And yeah, Saireen, so you said that was going to be your free gift for our audience. That will be down in the show notes for everybody to be able to download and look at and use. So thank you so very, very much. And please share your direct contact information as well, because I'm sure there are some audience members who are like, this was really helpful. I need to find out more.
You know what? I would love to share that. And also, I wish I had someone who could talk to me about it when I was like going through a lot of information out there, and it was so confusing.
Exactly. So where's the best place to contact you?
My email address is saireen.activeliving@gmail.com. And I have a website, menopausivity.ca.
And that will all be down in the show notes below.
Will. Absolutely.
Yes. And I do want to invite women who are curious. I have a workshop coming up, or I should say masterclass coming up July 25th, 29th, and 31st. And it's about navigating menopause and what your doctor didn't have time to tell you and what your mother didn't know. And I would love to invite you. And it's a free masterclass.
Beautiful. Thank you so very, very much. And if it's after those dates, whenever you hear this recording, don't worry, check in on her website, because I bet she has another one coming up soon that will match your dates that are happening. Thank you, Saireen, so very, very much. This has been a wonderful conversation. And, sometimes it's like, are we really going to talk about that? But you brought it with such grace and with such passion and such, good, solid information. So thank you very, very much for sharing with us today.
And thank you for being here today. Women have been going through menopause for a couple of years now.
Just a couple.
And over the few years that this has been happening, there aren't very many, even you didn't really know what was going on or how to get information. Mm-hmm. So even after so many years of this going on, you chose to take your journey and to bring it back to help other people. And so that is the hero's journey. You went out, you found your dragon and fought it. And you got a lot of information, and you came back, and instead of just, okay, I'm done, you sharing that information, and you're helping other people, talking about something that's not easy to talk about. And so you are a hero. You took this message, and you're making the world a better place. So thank you for being a hero, and thank you for being here today on our show.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. All right, audience, you know what is next. It is time to like, share, love this, leave a review, all the different things that we do for podcasts, and help people understand that, yes, these are messages that all families need so that they can grow happy, healthy, and successful children, and make sure that all of us have the support we need throughout our life. Until next time, bye for now.
Hello, and welcome to Bringing Education Home. I'm Herb.
And I'm Christina. And together we bring you experts